what do you make of the level of unrest? I mean, we've only been a few days into Trump's 4-year presidency.
I think
it's been stunning.
It's been stunning, but I think it's been heartening for me to see how many Americans are willing to put themselves on the line and speak out. It's been a broad, diverse coalition of people that are saying, this man's values don't represent what we think American values should be, and we're going to go out in the streets and say something about it.
And then what's also, I think, interesting is not just the passion, but also I believe that a lot of people are lackadaisical, assume everything is going to be fine, and then all of a sudden this election happens, then it becomes, oh my God, he won. Then it's, oh, you know what, I might need to get off my butt and not just let the folks over there do it. I'm going to have to make my feelings be known.
Yeah, and I think people didn't take him seriously and think he would do the things that he said he was going to do. I took him very seriously, and I spoke out against him repeatedly and often. And then you heard some people saying, you know, well, Hillary's just as bad. She lies too. And I just was amazed at the false equivalence that people would try to draw between the normal amount of, you know, kind of obfuscation and lying that politicians do, which is not good, but, you know, there's certain things that are more normal than others. And then the amount of ridiculous statements that came out of his mouth, amount of lies that came out of his mouth, amount of bigotry that came out of his mouth, all these things were egregious, and we should have known it from the campaign. But some people, I think, are genuinely surprised that, oh, he's doing what he said he was going to do. Oh, he said he was going to do a Muslim ban. Oh, he's doing a Muslim ban. He said he was going to build a wall. He's going to try to build a wall. He's not probably going to get Mexico to pay for it, but it's going to go up, even though it's a stupid idea. It's not even going to help anybody. It's not going to make us more secure. He's going to do it. He said he was going to do it, and he's going to do it. And so now that we're kind of shell-shocked and seeing this actually happen, I think the proper response is what people are doing, is getting out in the streets and protesting. But the next response has to be political action, which means working on the state, local, and national level to get politicians that will oppose what the president is doing right now. Working on our current Congress people, calling them and telling them we're watching them and we support them if they're doing the right thing, and we speak out against them if they're not. And we have to be engaged beyond what's happening in the street. But I think what's happening in the street is a good beginning to what we need to do.
See, I think that piece is what's critical. I often remind people, what Dr. King often said, that look, the march was one thing. It's what you do after the march. And I think a lot of times people get so excited about the event.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, we got together and it was thousands of people, it was the signs.
It's important.
But like with the Women's March, what I appreciated what they did was the data collection. That is, look, we're going to need you testifying before hearings.
Absolutely.
On a local, state, national level. We're going to need you when it comes to fundraising, not just coming out for this one day.
Democracy is participatory. Democracy is driven by the people. Our government is paid by us, elected by us, and they are accountable to us. And so we, the people, have to go out there and make sure that we're doing all the things to hold them accountable and then elect the right people in office.
How do you respond to the folks who say, John, dude, shut up, just sing?
Of course, I get that all the time. And then I tell them I'm a citizen, I'm a taxpayer. These politicians work for me just like they work for you, just like they work for Joe Citizen in the street.
But it kills me when people act as if you're not a taxpayer, you're not a citizen, as if, oh, no. I mean, it's literally just shut up and sing.
Well,
we don't want to hear what you have to say.
They want to hear it if I agree with them. They're happy to hear my opinions if I agree with them, but if I don't, then all of a sudden I'm just a Hollywood elite spewing nonsense.
Now let me deal with that, because you just said Hollywood elite. You're from Ohio.
I'm from Springfield, Ohio. My father was a factory worker. My mother was a housewife. We grew up knowing what it's like to need a manufacturing job, knowing what it's like to struggle from week to week to do what you need to do for your family. And so me fulfilling my dreams as a musician, as a producer, and all the other things that I'm doing, I do not forget what it's like to be the son of Ronald and Phyllis Stevens in Springfield, Ohio.
See, the reason I think that's important because, you know, I can still smell the stench of my dad's work boots, jeans, and a hard hat. Worked for Amtrak. Mom, insurance claims, sat in the office 8 hours a day. Both of them never made a combined $50,000 a year.
Yeah.
Had 5 kids. Yet, during this election and really after, when all I kept hearing was working class, they were really saying white working class.
Yeah, we're talking about the white working class.
I said, wait a minute. That's my experience. Mom and dad never went to college.
Yes.
And so it was bothersome to me. It was as if black working class folks didn't exist.
Yeah.
And then because of what I have been able to do because of them, it's, oh, no, you can't speak to this issue. But I'm going, no, that's my life too.
Yeah. And Hillary actually won people that made under $50,000 a year. The whole idea of her losing the working class was simply referring to the white working class. But if you put the entire working class together, she won. And I think a lot of times, for some reason, even in previous elections, hard-working Americans was referring to white working class.
Real America.
Real America is, you know, towns with no black folks in it. When real America is diverse, it looks more like our cities than it looks like our rural towns. That's real America, if you look at the numbers. But often, real America means white. Real America means conservative. Real America means gun-toting to a lot of people. But we know that real America is a much more diverse place than that.
What I think is happening here is that we're dealing with white fear. That America is changing. All of a sudden, we're seeing what's happening. All these folks with Black Lives Matter, they're out there without realizing that they're out there actually fighting for rights that also impact you. When they see young folks, when they see women, it's the exact same thing. It is fear of a changing America.
Yeah,
and Trump was pushing that, was touching that by saying, Giuliani even said, Trump is our last hope.
Yeah.
And you're going, wait a minute, what do you mean last hope?
Yeah, there was this fear that white men were losing their control of the country. And that fear, I think, drove Trump. It drove a lot of the conservative movement, the Tea Party movement. Every time we've seen advances in American history, we've seen some of that backlash before. We saw it after the Civil War. We saw it after the Civil Rights Movement. We saw it...
Black success always followed by white backlash.
Yes. We saw it now with the election of the first black president. So we've seen this backlash. The good news is that over time, progress has always won. But that doesn't mean there won't be a cost to this backlash. And this backlash may cost lives. It may cost some people justice and peace. And we should be worried about that. But I do believe that progress is going to win.
How do we bring these various worlds together to make folks realize you don't have to be fearful, but understand that you're the same economic condition as that brother or sister who's in the inner city?
Yeah.
I keep saying broke is broke.
Yes, and if we could come together in a real alliance of the working class that says we want good working conditions for all of our workers, we want well-paying manufacturing and construction and other jobs that have been kind of depleted in the last 20 years. If we come together and say we want a strong social safety net, make sure everyone has access to health care, make sure everybody has whatever they need to feed their family and live a decent life, better schools for everybody. Nobody has to lose in that. No race has to lose. It doesn't need to be you get it and we don't, or we get it and you don't. We can all get this together. We can all win together. It doesn't need to be zero sum. And, you know, I think Dr. King was trying to do that at the end of his life, was bring poor folks together, working folks together. And that's kind of the dream, is that we can all come together and say we want a better life, a better country for all of us, regardless of the color of our skin, and come together and fight for that. But politicians have been successful at dividing us and saying and creating fear among us, saying that if this guy wins, you can't win too. And that's not really how it works. all of us can do well together.
A peaceful protest turned deadly. 37-year-old black man was shot and killed by Baton Rouge police. His hands are in the air, and you still get shot by the cops.
Oh my God, please don't tell me he's dead.
We're not gonna let hate define us.
Race is a big part of this.
If truly all lives matter, then all lives need to matter equally.
What we require is action. What we require is accountability. We understand that black lives do matter, and we will keep focused on this issue.
NewsOne Now, every weekday morning at 7 on TV1.